Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the medium in the middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Join me every week. I release new episodes every Tuesday. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 98. 98! We're getting so close to 100. I don't know what I'm going to do for 100 yet, but it's going to be something cool. So welcome to the show. If you are new, welcome. My name is Stephanie. I am the medium in the middle. And this week I had a podcast planned where I wanted to talk about fear and moving through fear and, those limiting beliefs that hold us back. But as I was really thinking about it, the energy has been heavy recently. There is, something in the air, a little je ne sais quoi. And I just don't think that conversation is needed right now. I feel like we're all going through a lot and kind of processing a lot. So I'm going to save that because I do think it's still an important topic. And we're going to do something a little lighter today and talk about intuition. And I'm going to tell, finally, my little doggy story, my puppy story, and how I got little Archie and all the intuitive hits along the way, because these things are important. And when you can recognize them in your life, it makes it a lot easier to make decisions. And in regards to the energy that's going on, we're all experiencing, we're all feeling it. I am having Court Burns come on the podcast next week to explain to us what are the stars and the moon and the planets all doing up there, because something's going on down here and I don't know what it is. So I want some explanations. I need some answers. And it was funny when I was shuffling the cards this week, I was thinking, what deck should I use? And I was like, ooh, my angel deck. I got to go back to the Kyle Gray, the Angel Guide Oracle deck. And as I was shuffling, I always ask, what do our listeners need to know? What do the middlers need to know? What kind of guidance do we need? And I always read the card description with you guys, so I don't read it in advance. But as I was shuffling, this card jumped out, Ease and Grace. And I was like, ooh, yep, gotta do the Archie story. We gotta keep it easy this week. Nice and, an easy listen while you're maybe doing the dishes or cleaning the house or driving to work. So this week's card is Ease and Grace. This is a time to learn and adapt. You are being guided to slow down, take your time, take in the current moment, and allow space for events to occur. You often put too much pressure and expectation on yourself, and this is not required. Also, with constant effort and rush, you'll find yourself becoming overwhelmed and tired. When you are too forceful, you use up too much energy, and that may hinder your progress at this time. If you're in a difficult situation at work or with other people, don't feel you have to prove your skills, talents, or worth. Just step back and breathe, and through grace you will be seen, understood, and recognized for who you truly are. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to read the extended message because it looks good. You're being guided to flow like water. Don't feel the need to rush or force your way ahead. A gentle approach will be more rewarding. Have patience and move with grace. Your angel guide is encouraging you to see life as a dance, one step at a time. You will make your way through this incredible journey, learning more and growing along the way. How can you move with more elegance? How can you slow down? How can you bring more grace and poise to your current situation? This is a time to soften, breathe, and move in a way that is steady but flowing. This information may come as a surprise or even a challenge to you, but your angels know it will be beneficial for what is coming your way next. Okay, this card is perfect. So, yes, Ease and Grace. If you want to see the card, as always, I post it on my Instagram, at Medium in the Middle. Come follow me. And you can also see it on Facebook if you follow me on Facebook. I post it on my stories every week. So that is our card for this week. I feel a one card this week. I feel like that was a perfect message. So next we have announcements. As always, it always makes me think of being in grade school, sitting at a desk, listening to the announcements, singing "O Canada." I don't know if that's just a me thing, but the announcements I have this week is that there are 2 Reiki level 2s in October that still have a few spots each if you are one of my Reiki level 1 students or if you are an Asui Reiki level 1 student. So as long as you took an Asui Reiki course, you're able to take my level 2. It is an Asui Reiki level 2. Few spots left in each of those. And I know there's a big wait list for level 1. Level 1 will be launching next week. It's going to launch first to the wait list this week, but there will be a few spots open for you. And Meeting in the Middle is coming back. So very exciting. We are back with our monthly meetings. This month is going to be a mediumship circle where I'm going to put you in pairs and you can practice with each other. There's going to be some instruction, all levels welcome. That's going to be the last Thursday of the month, September 30th. All of the links will be down below. If you are interested in any of that, you can find it on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. So I want to jump into this week's episode. And while it is very much focused around a dog, I also want the focus to be around your intuition, my intuition, how to use your intuition, how to listen to intuition, even when people think you're crazy. Because as you'll soon find out, I got a dog and bought and was moving into a house all within the same week, which in hindsight, isn't that crazy? But when I was going through it, I was like, what in the hell was I thinking? So I want to start this story off in kind of 2 ways. This is interesting because there's a lot that people come to tell you when you tell them you get a dog. And the most thing that I heard was, "Oh, I didn't know you were a dog person." And it was kind of like, what do you mean you didn't know I was a dog person? What does that even mean? Like, I am constantly playing with dogs. All my friends have dogs. If anyone ever has a dog, I'm the one like rolling on the floor with them. I used to live with a dog for a year and I started him his own Instagram hashtag Bobstagram, and posted videos of him every single day. And I was just like, I don't understand what I'm not a dog person is. So it's just really interesting when you start to do something new. Again, I'm using the dog reference, but I want you to apply this to your life because I know it's not going to be a dog for everybody, but where in your life do people tell you like, "Oh, I didn't know you liked that," or "I didn't know you did that." And it's just like, what? Just because you didn't know doesn't mean that's not true. You know what I mean? So that was the first thing that I really noticed, but I want to start this kind of way back. So I've always wanted a Yorkie. I saw a Yorkie years ago. Someone had it in a Louis Vuitton, and I was like, oh my God, that's the cutest thing ever. I want that. And it was just always in the back of my head. I wanted to get a Yorkie, and I wanted to name him Louis. And fast forward multiple years, I've always lived in a rental. So in Banff, it's very hard to find a rental that you can have pets. So pets was really never on my mind. I also worked a lot out of the home. So it never made sense for me to have a pet because I was never home. And I remember talking to my mom on the phone being like, I want a dog. And she's like, you're never home. You can't have a dog. And I was like, yeah, that's true. So fast forward to, the past 2 years when a lot has been moved online. Now a lot of my work is online and my business is very close to home. When I'm there, I'm not there for, 10 hours at a time. So it's more feasible for me to get a dog. And then when I first bought this place, I bought my place 5 months before I moved into it. So we just had like a long closing date. There was tenants here. I had a lease, all of these things. But the first thing I said is like, I want a dog. And everyone was like, pump the brakes. You just got the place. You don't need a dog. And it was really interesting because I was just like, I want a dog. And I started looking up dogs and I decided I wanted a Maltipoo because they were small and the cutest things ever. And I was like, I want a Maltipoo. So I was looking at Maltipoo puppies and I, looking at them, daydreaming of them, looking at them. And time passed. I'm like, well, I can't get it now because I can't have it in my current place. I have to wait for when it's closer to. So that kind of went on pause. So just a few things that kind of happened the week before I got Archie. Again, this is where your intuition is coming in. So I wanted to start, this was a week before I got the keys to my new place. So I wanted to start buying things for my new place. So I went to Canadian Tire and I wanted to buy a vacuum. And I've been looking for vacuums for a while, but Canadian Tire had a few on sale. And I was like, okay, these are good sales. And for all my Americans listening, Canadian Tire is a store where you can get tires. Yes, you can also get like everything for your house, plants, storage, lighting, light bulbs, tools, bikes. You can just kind of get everything. I don't know what the American version would be, but Canadian Tire is kind of where you go. And they always have amazing sales. Like if you need anything for the kitchen, go to Canadian Tire and it'll be 75% off. I won't even talk about the pot set that I got. That was $100. Regular $600. That's an aside. So I'm at Canadian Tire and they have a bunch of vacuums on for like $150 off. And I was like, okay, I should get one of these. So I was looking and the vacuum that I wanted was like, great for pets. And I was like, well, I don't have a pet and I'm not planning on getting a pet anytime soon. And also if I do get a pet, it has to be an anti-shed pet because I'm allergic to dogs. So the dog that I have to get is going to be, small, hyperallergenic, non-shed, all of these things. So I was just like, oh, whatever. But this vacuum I noticed said like it was a pet-friendly vacuum or like great for pets or something like that. There was a dog on the front. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I kind of put it in my basket. So then that week, this was all in the same week, I had a dream that I saw all these Maltipoo puppies and they were all attached to balloons and they were floating away. And I was like, oh, so when I woke up, I was like, what could that mean? And I thought, maybe this means that my dog is farther away than I think because he's floating away from me. And it was just really interesting. I was like, oh, that's kind of sad. Like I was hoping he was closer than that, but I knew, okay, he's floating away. So I knew I wanted a small dog, hypoallergenic. I knew I wanted to be less than 9 pounds. I wanted a boy. I wanted it brown like a teddy bear. And I had this whole list. It has to be non-shed. I'm allergic to dogs, so it has to be hypoallergenic. And I remember in this same week, the vacuum, the dream, and then I went and saw a friend who's also an energy worker, and I was just talking. She's like, oh, are you getting a puppy? And I was like, oh, I want a puppy. And I was like, but I had this dream where all these puppies were attached to balloons and they were floating away from me. So I'm like, I think that means that my dog's not very close. And she said, well, I have a different interpretation of that. And I was like, oh, what is it? And she said, well, I think that means it's out for delivery. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, think of babies when babies are out for deliveries. They're in a basket attached to a balloon and they're flying and that's when they're being delivered. Like when moms have their baby, it's like a baby in a basket attached to a balloon. Like that's the imagery around it. And I was like, oh yeah, that is true. When you receive a baby, that's how you receive it. And I was like, huh. And I was like, well, if it is out for delivery, it's too soon, kind of as a joke. She's like, yeah, I think your puppy is closer than you think. And I was like, huh. So again, within the same week, now I'm about a week out from getting the keys. No, that's a lie because it was the Friday night. Saturday, Sunday, I had Reiki training. Monday, I got the keys. So it was the Friday night and I was kind of sitting in bed. I couldn't sleep. And I decided to go on Kijiji and look up Maltipoo puppies. So I went on Kijiji to look up Maltipoo puppies, and there was nothing. And then I made my area wider to all of Alberta and Saskatchewan, and still nothing. And I was like, huh. So then I thought, okay, well, what if I just search puppies? And, 18 pages of puppies pop up. I'm like, I can't sleep. Might as well go through every single page of puppies and just see what there is, see how much they are, research how old are they, what are the different types of puppies out there. Maltipoos are hard to find, so I'll just look. So, I'm going through pages and pages and pages of puppies, and what I'm looking for is pretty specific, less than 9 pounds, hypoallergenic, I want it to be brown, it needs to be small, non-shed. So, all these big, beautiful puppies are showing up, and I was like, oh, cute. And a few of them, I was like, oh, I'd like more information, and I kind of clicked, and I was going to message the owner, but I wasn't signed in to Kijiji. And when I went to go sign in, it like wasn't working. And I was like, whatever. Like, I don't care that much. Like, I was just going to email them and maybe ask a question or whatever. So then I'm on page like 8 of this puppy search and I see Archie. Oh, I didn't know he was Archie at the time, but I see my pup. And I'm going to post this picture on Facebook because honestly, I don't know how you could not fall in love with this photo. And I was like, oh, and I clicked on it. And it was him in this little like Superman blanket. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, what is he? Because he looked like a Maltipoo. And they said Yorkie, and they only had one left. And I was like, weird. And it only had 88 views. And I'm not sure if you've ever tried to buy a puppy on Kijiji, but they usually have like thousands of views and they're gone in like a second. So I was like, why is this guy still here? And it said it was posted 11 hours ago. And of course it was 11 o'clock at night. It wasn't 11:11. I would love to say that, but it was 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, weird. So anyway, so I like tried to sign into Kijiji to go send the owner a message, and it actually worked this time. And I was like, I was like, okay, universe, I see you. So I sent the lady a message and I said, hey, do you have any videos of this guy? Because you guys know I work by what I see. So pictures I can only do so much with just to get the vibe. I really wanted a video of him. I'm like, if I see a video, I'll know yes or no. And this was like 11:30 at night almost, I want to say. And I got an email back right away from her. And she said, hey, he's sleeping right now. I can send you a video in the morning. Here's my number. Just text me. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, thank you so much. I will. So then I couldn't sleep. I was staring at the photos of this puppy. I was sending it to everybody being like, this is my puppy. And I couldn't sleep all night. In the morning, I woke up super early and I texted her and I said, hey, this is like the girl from Kijiji. Could you send me some videos of him? And she sent me some videos of him and I was like, oh my gosh. He was like getting bullied in the corner and just being chased by his brothers and sisters. And it was so cute. And I was melting. I was just melting. And I was just thinking to myself, no, don't do it, Steph. Don't do it. Don't be irrational. You can't just get a dog just because you think it's cute. This is not it. And I was like, okay, calm down. And I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. And then I was like texting her back and forth, asking her all these questions. And then she sent me a list of questions and I sent her a list of questions. And then I said, okay, like I'm working all day today. Can we maybe have a FaceTime call this afternoon? And she was like, yeah, like we can, like this after my Reiki training. So I had my Reiki training and all I could think about was this dog and I was looking at photos of him. So after the training, I had the FaceTime with her and we were on the phone for 45 minutes just chatting and she was answering all my questions and I got to see the little pup and it was so cute. And I said, yeah, there's just been like too many synchronicities with this. Like you got back to me right away and like signing in. Her name was Steph. Oh, and she's like, yeah, she's like, a lot of synchronicities with you too. She's like, we both sent each other the questions at the same time. She's like, I've been breeding for 10 years, but you're the first person who like messaged me and like seemed very serious right away. Like you had a lot of questions and I could tell you weren't just like wasting my time. And she was like, it was really weird because she said, usually when I post these guys, like they go so quick. She's like, I never have a problem. That's why I wait for them to be kind of ready to go home because he was ready to go home right away. She's like, that's why I post them right away. She's like, but it was weird. I posted them yesterday and I didn't get one message. You were the first message. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, I thought that was really odd. She's like, after you, she's like, I got a lot of messages. She's like, but I kind of felt like we were already talking and I really liked you. She said, because normally I would interview multiple people before I just gave them away. And I was like, huh? She's like, but there's just been too many like synchronicities. I just really like you. And I was like, oh, okay. So she answered all my questions. I wrote all these notes. And I said, okay, listen, I don't want to make a quick, decision. I really want to sleep on it, but I want him. I was like, can you just like wait till tomorrow morning for me to confirm like yes or no? I was like, I just don't want to make like a hasty decision. And she was like, you know what? Like normally I would say no because I have other people waiting but yeah, I'll wait for tomorrow morning. You tell me yes or no because then I have other people in line. And I was like, okay. I was like, I get the keys to my house on Monday, and then I'm doing renovations. I was like, is there any way I could pick him up in a week? And she said, she's like, for that, I would need a deposit. And I was like, yeah, I totally understand. And I was thinking like because my dad was coming to help me do renovations on the house. And I was like, well, we could like blast through the renovations and then on Saturday maybe go get him. Like this was, I was thinking in my mind. She's like, well, I'm actually in Vancouver till Friday. So could you come on Saturday? And I was like, oh my God, I was just going to ask you if I could come on Saturday. I was like, yes, that would actually work. So she's like, okay, like let me know tomorrow. So then I start calling everybody I know, being like, should I get a puppy? Am I crazy? What do I need to know? Blah, 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 blah. So I call my mom because I was like, if anyone's going to tell me not to get the puppy, it's going to be my mom. So I call my mom and I tell her this whole story. And she says, yeah, get it. I was like, what? I was like, what? She's like, yeah, sounds like you want it. Sounds like it all worked. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but no, I'm calling you for you to talk me off the edge. She's like, you've been talking about a puppy for a while. Like, you should just get it. And I was like, huh? So anyways, long story short, all signs pointed to yes. And I think like I was asking the universe for signs and it just like kept delivering. Like there was too many synchronicities. There was too many things, like her willing to wait, me being the first person, our names both being Steph, her being like, I'm not interviewing anyone else. I like you. She was even like, for the first time in 10 years, this has happened, you know? So it was just like really, really interesting and just like good vibes, the photos, the videos. I was like, yeah, he's mine. And after talking to like other friends, the story is like not new. Everyone's like, yeah, that's kind of how you end up with a puppy. You see a photo, you fall in love, and then you're just like, well, I guess I'm getting a puppy, because it's usually pretty quick. Unless you're on a wait list for something, it's usually like, yeah, that's him coming home with me today. So I was actually pretty lucky. I got a week. Of course, the next day I barely slept, and she even said, she's like, you're barely going to sleep tonight. And I was like, oh, geez. And then the next morning it was 11 a.m. and I texted her, not on purpose, actually, that it was at 11 a.m. And I said, hey, at 11 a.m. confirming the puppy, because I knew I had to confirm it before the Reiki training, and I wanted to like send the deposit and it just be secure so I could focus on the training. And it was just like magical and amazing. And then all week she was sending me photos of him, and it was just like the cutest thing. Me and my dad went to go get him. But the thing is, from this whole story that I want to share with you, like, yes, this is a fun story and blah, 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 but your intuition will guide you. The universe will put things in your way that need to be there. The universe will put signs to send you clear yes or no's. And it was just like, you really need to pay attention to them. Because even as I was like trying to convince myself out of this puppy, I was like, all signs point to yes. The universe is screaming yes. Like everything is working out here. Everything is lining up. And if it wasn't meant to be mine, if I wasn't meant to do this, then I feel like I would get more no's. So it's one of those things. Yes, getting a puppy is a big decision. It's a big responsibility. And people say it's hard. I don't think it's hard. It's challenging. It's very challenging, but it's not like difficult. And it is like a very big life change. But when things are lining up in a certain way that's like kind of undeniable, when all signs point to yes, you just really have to move with it, even if you don't understand why. So was the timing perfect? You know, I like to kind of think, yeah, because I had 2 weeks off work. So, you know, we were home, we were around. Yes, you didn't really have like a very good schedule for the first week, but I had help. My dad was here, my mom was here. I was off work, so, you know, I could kind of get used to him, set things up, get whatever we needed. And it all worked out in the end. And now I have this beautiful puppy, Archie, and he's amazing. But it was really kind of a good intuition, universe alignment story where it's like, yes, we're talking about a puppy, but you can apply this to other areas of your life. So just take a little note next time. If all signs are pointing to yes, and you're still like, what should I do? And then you get 10 more signs that point to yes. It might be a yes, my friends. It might be pointing you and kicking you in the right direction. And even though I was like, am I meant to be getting a dog? Should I be doing this? And I also want to add, on this note, I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I tell you guys that I have panic attacks when I make big life decisions, like tattoos. When I bought the house, I kind of have this 3-day freak out. And the same thing happened when I confirmed this dog. So Saturday night was like very like, oh my God, am I doing it? Am I not doing it? But then the Sunday morning before I confirmed, like I was up at like 7 a.m., which I don't wake up at 7 a.m. It was like, my heart was beating out of my chest. I needed to go for a walk. I needed to get air. And then when I confirmed it And then when I sent the money, it was like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? And then that whole week, I felt like I wanted to throw up. I was like, what am I thinking getting a dog? Like my life is about to change and all these things. And then it wasn't until I got him. And even still the first day, I was like, what am I doing? This dog hates me. Because, when you first take a dog away from their family, it's very sad. No one tells you it's very sad. I won't even go into all the dog things. That's not the point of this podcast. The point of this podcast is my body was still reacting in a way of uncomfort, right? Because I'm pushing my comfort zone. I'm doing something new. So my body immediately went into that fight or flight. So I freaked out for the whole week. And my dad kept being like, why are you so nervous? Like, who cares? And I was just like, I'm so anxious about the dog. Like, yeah, now I have the keys to the house. Now we're doing whatever. We're painting. We're getting things done. But the dog is just on my mind. I couldn't sleep at night. We were like barely sleeping. Me and my dad were both barely sleeping. We were working all day. And I was stressed. I was barely eating. I was like, I just can't stop thinking about the dog. Like, what am I thinking? What am I doing? And he was like, well, you're getting it now, kind of thing. Very dad-like. So just very interesting that no matter what you're doing, getting a dog, developing, trying something new, there's still going to be your body reacting in fear. So I guess I am talking about fear in the end with this episode. So I know though, and I know you guys know this too, that's how my body reacts when I'm out of my comfort zone. It freaks out. So it was like to be expected. It was almost like if it didn't happen, something's wrong, So just very interesting. The more you know your body, the more you know how you react. It's like clockwork. You're like, yep, freak out, get over it. We got this dog. The deposit is sent. I even tried to talk myself out of it. I'm like, I could lose the deposit, or 15 years with the dog. And I was like, no, Steph, like you crazy man, like you're getting the dog. So now Archie's mine. I'm sure I'll spam Instagram with a bunch of photos of him so that you can see him. He's cute. He's tiny. He looks like a little bear. He's fuzzy. He's a Yorkie. So it's funny because if I wasn't going to get a Maltipoo, I was going to get a Yorkie. And they all have the same qualities. And he looks like a Maltipoo. Like, he doesn't really look like a Yorkie. I've had many people be like, are you sure it's a Yorkie? Like, did the breeder lie to you? And I was like, no, I saw his mom and dad. I saw his family. He just doesn't look very Yorkie-ish. But he's also small. I'm sure he's going to grow into it. Now his face is kind of changing. He is looking more Yorkie-ish. Yorkie-ish. I don't know if that's a word. But if you want to see him, go to Instagram. I'm going to post like the photos. And then I was doing like a poll of should his name be Archie or Louie? And I was like, I'm going to know when I see him, because in the photos I wasn't quite sure. But then the days leading up to it, I started calling him Archie. We're going to pick up Archie on Saturday. Oh, Archie needs this. And my dad's like, I think his name's Archie. And I was like, no, I want to wait till I see him. Archie or Louie, Archie or Louie. And then when I saw him, I was like, Archie, my baby. So that is the story of the pup. That is my little intuition. Follow the universe. It will guide you. Trust the signs you get. Everything will line up. Things will be put in your way. I think sometimes we need that reminder. Things will be put in our way that we need in our lives. And this was one of them. And I'm really excited that, I did follow those signs. I did it. I took the jump. I took the leap. I was crazy and got a dog. But I want you to also remember that these things will happen in your life and that these signs will come up in your life, and you just have to recognize them. You just have to see them, and it makes things a lot easier when you're getting a whole lot of hell yeses or hell no's from the universe. So listen to them. Don't ignore them. Do not ignore them, because then you'll just get them louder and louder and louder, like slaps in the face. So that's my puppy story. I hope it was lighthearted for you. I hope it was a little sprinkle of good news and reminder of your intuition, and the universe got your back, because the universe has your back. Next week, we'll be talking about the energy that's been going on. I'm feeling it. You're feeling it. Everyone's feeling it. Who knows what's going on? I'm ready to go into a cave and just wait this out, but I have a dog to do that with now. So we're going to be here waiting to see what's going on with Court Burns next week. If you want to tune in, if you are new here, please press subscribe. I release new episodes every Tuesday. If you're an iTunes user, I would love and appreciate a rating and a review. Again, if you are interested in a Reiki course, the meeting in the middles, or booking an appointment with me, I do distance Reiki, Akashic Records, and Psych K appointments. Those are all available virtually all over the world. They are live via Zoom. And then if you are in Banff in the area, come see me in person. I do in-person Reiki and Psych K sessions every week. I love to meet the listeners, the middlers. So all of the links will be down below for that, courses, the meeting in the middle, and appointments with me. But until next week, thank you all for listening, middlers. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you in your ears. I'll be back here next week with a brand new episode. We are going into episode 99 and then 100. I'm going to plan something big, probably a giveaway, let's be honest, for episode 100, but more info to come when I figure it out. So have a wonderful week. I will talk to you soon. Bye.